What's happening, guys? It's Jason. I got another 20-foot one trip shipping container up here. Want to do a quick review. Sorry about the wind. We live in the windy city of Arizona. So it's always windy up here, man. It's either gale force winds or brisk winds or light winds. So this is a light wind today. But anyway, this is part of that same batch I got up here. So I've got a couple videos that might look similar to this. This is the same batch, same color, same 2 vents. Actually, this has 4 vents. I apologize. It has 4 vents. This is extra. So most of them have 2. This one has 4. I didn't pick any difference on there. They're just from the same company. They're all one trips. They've been across the seas, brought into Long Beach and decommissioned immediately. So they're not thrashed, they're not damaged, they're not haggard, they're not rusted. So this is pristine, pristine, pristine. So 8 foot 6 inches tall. These are standard height. A high cube is 9 foot 6. A lot of people ask about those. High cubes do cost more. They cost more because there's more metal. They're less common, and they cost more to ship them because they weigh more. So they cost more for me to ship them because I got to pull them up a hill from Long Beach, and they cost more to ship them across the ports because they weigh more. It's just, and they have more capacity in there, so usually they're heavier in general. So these things weigh about 4,700 pounds dry for a 20-foot standard. And like I said, the one trip is just the condition quality. So when you hear as is, that means someone probably put holes in it before by Apaches. A wind and watertight can have holes in the past and be repatched up, but wind and watertight normally has no holes, no major repairs. And if there are repairs, they're done from a typical shipping yard to where they're, you know, say they welded a patch on like a bad one, they weld the same type of material. So it looks, you know, other than the seam, it looks nice and clean, and it's not some Frankenstein patch. So these are one trips, meaning they've never been damaged, never been touched. They literally came over to the port, sat on a boat for, you know, a couple months, whatever, came over here. They're less than a year in usage and rotation. They come one trip, unloaded, they get put aside, they get sold to wholesalers, and then I buy them off of them because I don't do the volume a wholesaler does. I have to be the next guy in line. So I bring them up here, and then I make them available for the general public up here. So the color's awesome in this thing. I mean, you can see I just got my lot cleared off over here. That's mine. I'm just pulling some trees. I hate to do that, but we're gonna start using that as a little setup yard. But you can see it blends in nice with the surrounding. It's not purple or pink or green. And if you want that, we can get that too. But this is a nice common color that's universal, looks good up in rural areas. So inside is immaculately clean. Let me open this up here real quick. The handles are as smooth as butter on here. So one hand's a little hard to do normally. You just pull it off. Lockbox. These have lock boxes on them. I'll show you what the lockbox looks like over here. You haven't seen one before? That's a lockbox right there. So you have an availability to put a lock here and here. So when these come over and latch, this goes down and it's closed. You put a padlock through here as a deterrent. You can put a padlock there as a deterrent. You can put them on the other 2 over there if you want to, but you can also put a padlock up inside here, and it aligns on this back hole, this opening, with this piece here, which can accommodate a padlock as well, that will now be up inside a metal box, so it's hard to get a grinder to it or a sawzall. Can someone get through that? Of course. I mean, nothing's impenetrable. If you want to go buy a titanium phenomenal metal cutting blade on a grinder, you can get through just about anything. But this, if your neighbor's got, you know, a wood shed or a thin, like, you know, one of those Versatube, you know, buildings, I mean, you can get through that with a butter knife. This is going to take some serious getting after. Not that you want your neighbor's stuff to get stolen, but the better deterrent you have on your property, or if it's a rural abandoned property or property you don't get to very often, the more security, the better. You can just put a fake camera up here if you wanted to. A camera with a bunch of locks, people are gonna be like, you know what, let's just go down the street and see who's got something easier. So thieves don't like to work. That's why they're thieves. If they like working, they wouldn't be thieves. They go work and make money. So thieves want the easiest possible route they can get to. So any deterrent is good. So anyway, getting back to this lock box before the tangent, those usually cost $250 to $300 to have one installed, believe it or not. They actually cost about $65 online. So $100 to $150 would probably be a fair charge, but normally $250 to $300 for an upgrade like this. I did not order these this way, so the price is not changing. It comes free with this particular batch of containers. So this one has one little kink right there. It looks like maybe got kissed by a trailer or by a forklift, which is a minor. I wouldn't even bother to try and clean it up, and I can just gab over it, no one knows it's there. But other than that, there's nothing structurally damaged on this thing. It's in great shape. The paint still smells fresh. The wood floor is in phenomenal condition. So if you're interested in a one-trip container, these are a little more pricey. The reason being is they went one trip and came over. You know, I mean, they haven't been damaged. A typical container you find in this area and in general for sale, all these shippers and movers and shakers and brokers, Normally, they've been in rotation for about 15 minimum, but usually about 18 to 20 years. So 20 years of going back and forth across the ocean and having different forklift drivers rip in and out of these. That's why you see sometimes they have damage on the side because the guy after lunch had too many Mai Tais and freaking runs the forklift inside of them. So the longer they're in service, the better chance it does of having dents. You know, you get a pallet kinked sideways in here and it's rammed on the side. I mean, that's why you see all the little punctures and little damages and repairs on wind and watertight, cargo worthy, and the other qualities that are not a one trip. So one trip should look like this, unbelievably clean. Like I said, so you got 4 in this one. 1, 2, 3. You guys dizzy? 4 vents on this one. Normally you have one in this corner and one in the opposing corner in the back, and that's fine. You don't need a bunch of extra vents on this thing. I mean, ventilation is never gonna hurt. Luckily mice won't crawl up inside there, so this thing's still rodent proof and insect proof. I mean, this is as good as it gets, guys. So depending what you're building with, if you're building a tiny house, you might wanna start clean because you just know there's no chemicals in here, you know it's in great shape. You might wanna start with a funkier one because you're gonna put brand new floors in, you're gonna paint all the walls, and you're gonna decontaminate everything, and then you wanna save a little bit of money on a less quality condition. Maybe you're gonna side the outside so it doesn't matter if it has little dents and little patina. So it's up to you. But if you want a nice container to start any project with, it's really hard to beat a one trip. They're just in phenomenal condition. This one is available in Apache County, Arizona. I service pretty much any part of Arizona. And if you need something in California, give me a call. I don't service California, but I go down there to get my materials, and I have friends that do the same thing in that area. And I gladly hook you up directly with one of my contacts. Some people get offended by that. Why can't you just give me one? Well, my equation works. I get them down there and I bring them up here. My buddies do bigger volume down there, and they can get you the deal you're looking for down there. So I just pass the buck to the next guy, one of my friends that I trust, and will do the same service I would provide you, but for a better cost down there because I don't operate in California. Anyway, guys, so this one's available. Let me just pull back over here and show you the side. Like I said, it's in phenomenal condition. There's really nothing to complain about on this one. Like I said, it's a true one trip 20 footer. I should have about 7 more of these in this batch, which are the same, and they should all have these lock boxes just by chance. Give me a call if you're interested in one of these things, and we'll get you set up. I offer local delivery in the area, including off-road. Be careful, some of these guys will give you a quote, give you a great price, and then you'll find out that you're off-road, which is pretty standard to everyone out here in rural properties, but somehow they'll come up with an extra $500+ that they need to charge you after you've already committed to the project because you live, 4 miles down a dirt road. I've gone 25 miles down a dirt road, not including getting to the dirt road. If I commit to the project with you guys, I'm getting there no matter what. If there's a problem where we think it's too tight, I'll spend the gas money and the time to drive over and verify that your road is doable before we exchange any sort of commitment on that. I don't do that for everyone. You have to be a pretty serious, committed, purchaser. But there's something going on the road and we just need to go look at it, and you're feeling it's not going to work, or you got to move trees, things like that. I have no problem giving you a once over through video or even in person if we have to. It's in a reasonable contact area and making sure we can get this thing on your property. Like I said, this is a 20 foot. I also have 40 foots coming up. I have 40 foot wind and watertight high cubes. So they're going to be 9'6", where this is 8'6". People ask about high cube 20 footers. They are available. They're not as readily available. So unfortunately, supply and demand, the cost in those are a little crazy. So when you contact me, if this is out of your ballpark, you don't want to go with a high cube 20 because of much big difference. But if you're building with this thing for a living space, I had a conversation with a potential customer yesterday. The 8'6" is great. But if you're building with us as a she shed, a workshop on a daily basis, let's say, you're gonna build a house out of it, the extra 1 foot, this is 8'6", like I said, the extra 1 foot of clearance is a huge difference, especially if you plan on doing anything with the ceiling to put paneling up there. Say you go an inch down there, say you put a floor and you go an inch down up here, you've lost 2 inches. So you're still at 8 foot, 4 inches tall. That's a great ceiling, but I tell you, when you walk into a high top like 40, it feels massive. It's just the extra foot is a huge difference if you plan on building out the inside. Or for a workshop, if you want to do a little tiny, not necessarily mezzanine, but a little set of rafters across there, say you take some unistrut and you put it down in the corners here, and you run a platform on there 2 feet below a 9.5 foot tall, you still have a 7.5 foot clearance back there, and you can put wood and things like that up inside there. So there's things to think about. It's only a foot, but it's hard to get it when you don't buy it. If you buy an 8'6", it's really hard to add a foot onto these things. If you buy a 9'6", it's easy to just live with the space if you don't need it. It doesn't hurt. But these 20 foot one trippers are standard height, 8'6" tall. But the 40 foot cargo, wind and water tight I'm getting right now are 9'6", the high cubes. Right on, guys. You have any question, please put it in the comments down there. I'll put my number on here. Give me a contact call. If you're just shooting the shit for the future, I don't mind doing that, man. I know it took me a couple years of planning to get out where I'm at with my rural properties. I asked a lot of dumb questions. I asked a lot of good questions. I met a lot of good people that I still keep in contact with now. And I was just, kind of bouncing ideas off of people that had already done it, and they had the time to give me a little bit of advice, and it helped me significantly. So if you're looking for containers, give me a holler. If you have ideas and things you want to do and you're just passing them around, and maybe you're 6 months down the road, I plant plenty of seeds like that too. I talked to people 6 months before I sold them a container because they weren't ready yet, and that's fine. It's totally fine. Most container companies aren't going to go through that process with you, but I'm in a different stage. I'm building just like most of you guys are. Right on, guys. Stay safe.